All right, here we go. Big question that I get, especially when we're going through Dutch tests and talking about overall impact of hormones on your mood. Let me make sure that you guys can see this. Okay, yep. Hormones on your mood. A lot of times we think of our mood being influenced by like our neurotransmitters, our serotonin, or dopamine, things like that. And that's absolutely true. That's absolutely a thing, but we need to also understand that our hormones do play a huge role. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to write out specifically where I see a lot of hormone issues contributing to mood disruption. So, and I'll be really curious to see if you guys relate to any of this, or if you're like, oh my gosh, that's totally the mood thing that I have. Yes. So put in the comments. I would love to see it in the comments. Just put in the comments if you're like, yes, this is my mood swing, or my mood swing is like this, or it's like this at this time, or whatever. Put it in the comments because I would love to see it. And I do look at the comments, I do respond. And sometimes it's just helpful to see things in there where you're like, oh my gosh, that's me too. I'm not alone in this. Nope. No, it's pretty common. So I'm Dr. Beth Westie, women's health and hormone expert, and I specialize in nutrition that matches your hormones and your cycle and everything. So when we talk about hormones, there's a lot of different hormones that can contribute, but I'm going to talk about some of the main ones tonight. And the main ones I'm going to cover are estrogen and how your body processes estrogen, and then cortisols. So when we look at this, body processes here estrogen. When estrogen goes through, this is a big one here that impacts your mood. Estrogen goes through 3 phases of metabolism or detoxification, which we see in your Dutch test. We see exactly how your system is processing. So if you are not on the wait list for the next female hormone solution program, I'm going to put a link here. There's a link in the comments for you to get on the wait list. Do not miss out on this wait list because you will get your own Dutch test, customized results, and tailored protocol for you for what you have going on. And one of my favorite things for women is when you notice, like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm getting the right things in for my body, you really feel different, and it impacts your mood fairly quickly, like within the next cycle or two. So that's a positive. So estrogen, oftentimes, and again, this is not across the board, but oftentimes, like, and yours might be a little bit different, but I'm going to give a general of what I see 70% of the time. If there's an issue with phase 1, estrogen processing, what I will see is a quick shift, a quick mood shift. This is like something happens and you're like, it's like a flip gets swished and you're like, rah, rah, like it's like a lion reaction, like out of control, where you're like, whoa, oh, who is that? Is that me? I'm not even mad about this thing. Why am I reacting like this? What is going on? Hormones. Your body's not processing your hormones correctly. So it leaves you on like this hair trigger where something could happen and you're like, and you don't even know what. You can't even necessarily predict because it can be a different thing. You can all of a sudden blow up at somebody. It's like that movie Inside Out. It's like the movie Inside Out. You know that angry guy who's like, and his head gets on fire and then all of a sudden it just goes out. That's what it's like. It's like all of a sudden, flip of a switch, a very quick shift in an aggressive, like a heightened mood, and then it comes right back down. Heightened mood comes back down, and it happens super fast and comes out of nowhere. That's an issue that I see most of the time with phase 1. And that's something that we have to address. If it's phase 2, now this is just fascinating, right? It's like you feel kind of blah all the time. Meh. Just meh. Right? Just kind of a general, yeah, my mood is not as good as it used to be. I mean, it's not terrible. I don't have really bad, dips, but I never feel like I used to. I had somebody describe it to me like this. She goes, I used to be like a really happy, positive person. I used to be a sunshine person. And now I'm just overcast. Overcast. All day, every day. All day, every day. Sometimes it's a little more cloudy than others, but I never really get a full sunshine day anymore. Estrogen processing. Huge, huge role with that. The other thing that I will see a lot of is, of course, cortisol. Now, cortisol, this can be either with your adrenals or your free cortisol, which is what your body uses. And we walk through this in your report. I like show you exactly where, okay, this is what your adrenals are doing, but this is what your body's actually getting in terms of like energy, things like that. Because if you're not having enough cortisol or your adrenals are being overworked, like being burned out, that can leave you so much more susceptible to mood swings, because it also can have a trickle-down impact on your dopamine. I see this all the time. Your dopamine, this is your happiness neurotransmitter. This is what helps level your body out. And if your dopamine levels are messed up, which I see 95% of the time when I look at Dutch reports, when I look at your hormone test, which again, go in the comments here, make sure you're on the wait list for the next female hormone solution program, because you get your own Dutch test, you get your own customized recommendations, things like that. And we work together to make sure you are getting the right results with all of this. But with these cortisol issues, right, it impacts your dopamine. So you can kind of feel like irritated, edgy, like all the time, like, and why, And then with lower dopamine, it leaves you more vulnerable to irritability, to addictive tendencies, and doing things that are essentially giving your brain a little dopamine hit, like playing games on your computer or your phone. Just and you're like, well, it's relaxing for me or whatever. Is it? Is it relaxing you? Or is it almost compulsive? It can leave you at a way higher risk for cravings, sugar cravings, binge eating, things like that, because your body is looking for a dopamine hit. It's looking for that. It's looking for something. Like, oh, I'm like addicted to this little thing. I need this dopamine hit, because you don't have the dopamine, because it's being depleted because of your cortisol levels. That will impact your mood greatly and have increased irritability and everything else that goes along. Increased agitation. That's a word that I commonly use when we go through this stuff, because it's incredible at how you can just not feel like yourself. And then when your hormones change throughout the month, right? That's that hair trigger that we're talking about. When your hormones shift and change around ovulation and around when the time your cycle starts, it's like you get hit by a truck, and then your mood just tanks, or you become on edge. You become like, oh, I feel like so raw. I feel like anything is going to set me off. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Your hormones are imbalanced. Your body is not being supported like it needs to be. So that's what we got to fix. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. Other resources I have for you are, again, my books, The Female Fat Solution, The Female Menopause Solution, all about how to eat and use nutrition for your hormones, your body, your cycle, for the female body. And those are on Amazon. I also have my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Beth Westie. Subscribe to stay updated on all the videos I have coming out. My podcast, The Female Health Solution. And then I have my tinctures that I'm going to recommend for you guys to check out. Estrol Balance, this is for your estrogen phase. Then you switch over to Progesterone Balance for your progesterone levels to maintain. This helps balance out this processing here and keep things more even keel there. And then the Adrenal Balance, this is for your adrenal and cortisol levels, to keep this going so that your cortisol levels don't deplete your dopamine. Yes, so these are fantastic to all layer in tinctures. They are vegetable glycerin based, so they're not alcoholic, so they actually taste good. I know somebody was like, oh, I want to try your tinctures, but tinctures are gross. And I was like, not these. These are delicious. So that's what I got for you tonight. Please let me know if you have any other questions or need other help or resources. Again, put in the comments if you are like, oh my gosh, I must have something wrong with this because I have this really quick shift, or holy cow, I feel overcast. Yes, I feel overcast. This is totally me. Because then it would be so fascinating to see what your hormone levels are doing. Yes. All right. Have a great night, you guys, and I will see you later.